To the many who have driven by the Varsity Pub, it's just another bar on Main Street. But to the people inside, it holds years of stories, laughs, and memories they will cherish for a lifetime. Not only is the Varsity special to the previous mentioned people, but to the community as well. Established in 1920, the Varsity has stood in the same location for 100 years. This is unique for the town of Vermillion, as no other bar can say the same. Built in 1920 by the father of the Michael brothers, Freddie and Ernie, the Varsity was a place to stop by and purchase chocolates, fountain drinks, luncheons, and smokes. Doug Dwyer, a former owner, knew the founders of the bar and was told the history firsthand.
It ran a year as a candy store, and then after a year, they put that wooden floor in the basement. That's still the original floor down there. And put that stairway on the side. That's when they first started doing keg parties and stuff down the basement, was that first year.
During Prohibition, that's why they haven't used the steps to come down the basement, but it was open during Prohibition.
Speakeasy?
Yeah, pretty much a speakeasy.
Fraternities and sororities would send freshmen down there to stand in line on Friday and Saturday in that outdoor entryway till the sophomores, juniors, seniors, whatever came down. And then they'd take the spot in the line to get in there.
Since the original owners, times have changed, and so have the many advertisements displaying the Varsity's charm. This ad from the early 2000s shows the Varsity making a change to be a non-smoking bar before South Dakota made it a law in 2010. A mock political ad in a 1960s Dakota Days Blast issue states that, "Next election, my choice is the Varsity." This ad then continues to list all the reasons the Varsity has their vote. In 1938, this poem was anonymously published with the title, "A Night at the Varsity with a Few of the Greeks." The pages of this poem provide hilarious anecdotes to what a night at the Varsity in the late 30s was all about. These ads date back to the Varsity's opening in 1920 and even document the business splitting in 1935, when one of the brothers decided to open Michael's Coffee Shop. From then on, Michael's Varsity was on its own. Not only did the ads change over time, but the owners did too.
So when I moved away, Doug and Dad owned it. And then I moved back in 89, and I think they both still owned it. Or maybe my dad had sold out to Doug at that point. And then 92 probably is whenever Doug sold it to my husband, and then my husband sold it to Husker, I believe.
I bought it from Butch Kiertzner, and then I had it, like I said, from 95 to 2001. And I enjoyed doing it and everything, but I got married about the same year or two at that time, and I was doing concrete before that too. And then I bought the bar, trying to get out of the concrete work. Well, people were asking me to do concrete work, so me and another guy kind of went together and partners and started doing concrete work, and that business was going pretty well too. So it's one of those deals where I was weighing my difference on what to do, and so I still own my own concrete and construction business. So I went on with that instead.
The Sammelson brothers bought this in 2002, I'm pretty sure. It was a takeover, and so we all got together and we cleaned this place from top to bottom. Mom Irene would sit there with her little squirt bottle and blot each wood piece, and it was a stitch. But yeah, so we all just got together and cleaned it and transformed it, and that was 2002. I think it was right before we got married. We had a big comedian party down here, and the big go for before that was to get the basement done. So the basement did not look as it does right now, obviously. Greg and a lot of his buddies worked day in, day out. Well, let's put it, some long nights, and got the basement done. and it looks amazing down here. But they took the old bar from upstairs from when Martinson moved it, put it down here, and that's what's here now.
And we had a hard time finding her name to keep adding her family.
Everybody carved in that bar.
And you know what? They embraced it. They really did. They embraced it.
Yeah.
That bar has a lot of history. I'm so glad they never got rid of it.
As far as construction stuff and everything, and anything that happens down here, it's always been, a lot of it is people that hang out here.
Rich Fergine, when we got the bar, he came in when we were just cleaning. That place was a disaster in there. You wouldn't believe how dirty it was. There was dirty orange curtains hanging as dividers, and it was really something. But he came in, he had a partner. They weren't old enough to work in there yet, but they wanted to do something. And they just kept showing up and wanted to do this and wanted to do that. So they finally made the sign, and then they ended up working in there when they got old enough.
Like when I owned the bar, I can remember when I had, after D days, whatever, the next day, Sunday, there was a bunch of the regular locals. They'd come down, they'd help mop the floors, and they'd help clean up. After I sold the place, the guy bought it, and he had it for a year. Well, then Sammelson's bought it, and then so when they took it over, well, Greg wanted to get the basement fixed up a little bit. So when we went to do that, I'm like, okay, so this is the plan. And so I was the one that kind of designed these chairs, and we worked our buns off till, I can remember the last night, we worked all through the night to finish getting everything done. And everybody come down and they thought, oh, it looks so nice. And the outside stairs, there was a farmer butterhead that had those, and Cat, he's a carpenter. Me and him kind of help frame that stuff up and mount them. And, I do the snow removal down here. And everybody it's always local people that just, anything that she wants. If she needs electrical work, there's electricians down here. If she needs anything done, I'm speaking of Diane now because she owns it now. Everybody joins in. There's plumbers, there's everything. Anything that's done in here comes out of her pocket. So for her to, or whoever owned it, in the past, it always comes out of their own pocket for the most part. So that's why the locals around here, they've always been really good to step up and say, hey, no, we'll throw you a hand and help you out.
I think it's always just been that hometown feel, that it's been local people owning it, and that brings a lot of people in because, they want to help the locals be successful.
Over these 100 years, the Varsity has had more than a handful of owners, yet manages to keep the same hometown feel that it's had from the beginning.
Honestly, the Varsity, even though it has had a myriad of owners, they've all known Vermillion and cared about the people here, and because that's so much of what this small town bar is.
Current owner Diane Wirth has worked hard to keep it that way.
Just to stress how Diane has come to Vermillion after being gone for years from town, and to come back and really embrace Vermillion and make so many changes and really jump right in and just be one of us Vermillionites that we've all been.
Diane has taken this place 10,000 times forward in everything. I'm so appreciative of her for bringing it to that next step of really, because she has that college connection, she has that younger connection, she has all of that, and that's amazing. That's been, I think, literally the key piece for the last few years.
Diane has always been very, very successful in every business she's had in Vermillion, and then being associated with the university now, she combines the two together. She's owned multiple businesses in town, and now this and working for the university and Charlie's and everything, just extremely successful.
The Varsity holds memories for people of all ages and walks of life. Some have been here from what feels like the beginning, and some have only been here for a short time. No matter the amount of time spent here, the impact is all the same.
Varsity's been just such a big part of my life here in Vermillion that there's tons of great memories, so I don't necessarily have just one great one to pick from.
Some of my favorite memories.
Dakota days.
Dakota days.
Dakota days.
D days. Who doesn't love D-Days?
The night before Dakota Days and the pep band comes in. I love it. I absolutely love that. And they play Sweet Caroline, and they're so kind. They're so nice.
Just to bring back these people who are probably 70s at that point in time. So this is 20 years ago-ish. And they would come here and be like, can we go to the basement? What is so cool about the basement? And then I remember stories about how the basement was just crazy, the place to be, and how obviously wild it got down here, and I can only imagine.
I can remember when I owned it, on D-Days weekend, there'd be these 75, 80-year-old people coming in. They always wanted to see the basement because that's what they remembered from back in the early days. There's always a hopping in place back then.
This is a family bar. So, like when my kids were growing up and the generation now, a lot of times you'll see little kids running around in the bar. And some people would walk in and say, what the hell? You know, where with us, that's just, we raised our kids, now our kids are bringing their kids in, and it's just always been a comfort thing that it's a safety zone.
For me and probably my husband is the fact that, like, Carter, as a baby, he's 16 now, and as a baby, he's been here, and I hope he carries on that tradition.
You have a variety of ages from 90 down to 2 years old. That, to me, is special that people feel that comfort.
It's very comforting, family atmosphere when you want it to be, and loving.
I suppose a lot of my favorite memories just come from those random, like, Friday or Saturdays we work and we have a random crowd come in. They're all dancing on the bar and we're all just having a good time.
I met my husband here when I was bartending, so that's kind of a key piece in our life.
Memories in my mind are things that I probably shouldn't have been doing, like dancing on the bar. It's been a great, fun time anytime I've ever come in.
I love dancing on the bar. It is like the best thing ever.
I came in just, how do I apply for this job? And they handed me a bar napkin and I wrote my name and phone number down on a bar napkin and, turned it into Jimmy, who was the manager at that time. And then they, called me and, okay, come in and train.
I was expecting more of a bartender position where I just come in, serve drinks, sling beer, and then leave. But now I've gotten to know so many people, became friends with all my coworkers. It's definitely been an interesting year because of it.
Then I was here and then just through those connections is how, I connected with everybody I now know and call this family here at the Varsity.
I thought it was just going to be a, minimum wage, random part-time pickup job that I had to deal with, but it's definitely not that. Varsity is a different world.
You don't leave here without a memory or just feeling happy and good.
It's just one of those neat little places that everybody just, if they've been to the Varsity, they always go back.
As anyone can see, the Varsity holds many memories. But how has this bar been around for 100 years?
It is definitely the people. They make it.
I think it's the support from the patrons that come here. It's kind of like one big happy family. There isn't a person that comes here that wouldn't drop everything they have, to go help somebody else. It's more a family than it is a business. And I think that's what's kept it running for so long.
It has a lot of great support from the local people, which really helps.
A lot of the owners that have had it and everything, one thing they've always done everything, they've kind of kept it the same traditional place. Yes, they've done updates. Yes, they've done this and that and everything, but they kept it kind of the same old deal where it's a place to come in, sit down, communicate, have conversations with your friends. There's not a jukebox cranked up, all the time and everything. It's a great place, especially during the happy hour or whatever, just to have a great conversation.
It's tradition, just like Vermillion's sports and USD. It's just a tradition.
The owners have been a very, very big part of making us feel so comfortable and making the college students feel so comfortable to come in. They've really catered to both people, and They're going to last 100 years. So it would be up to whoever takes it over.
I'm pretty sure it's going to go another 100.
I don't know what this town would be without the Varsity.
That is a little bit iconic. I don't know that the location has ever changed. It's always been in this building. There's been, from what I understand, other businesses that got their start here. For instance, Our Pizza started in the back of the Varsity, and now it's become its own business, just a block away. So I think just being that place in town that everybody knows.
There was just locals that you knew were going to come in almost every day at that time, and they'd stay around till 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock. And about the time the locals left, then you'd have the university crowd come in.
It's like a nice little knit family in a way. All the people that come here, they come back.
We just all want to be here and have a good time, and this is the place to do it.
The Varsity has lasted 100 years because of the people and the family they've become. We're passionate about our future just as much as we are about our past.